by investigators or others is only the beginning of the process, not the end. And this is too important to the American public, too important to the question of the quality of the Supreme Court, and too important to the working women in America to deal with it in a cavalier fashion.
Senator Hatch, you've called this a smear campaign, but has there been a sufficient investigation, or is it in fact just the beginning of one?
I think there's been a sufficient investigation. Here's a man who had an impeccable reputation everywhere he served in government. I've got 3 statements from people who, in essence, believe that Anita Hill is lying. People who worked with her, both inside the government and out. And if you look at the facts, she presented herself well, but if you look at the facts, they don't add up. What woman, if she felt she was sexually harassed, would follow her boss from one agency, the Department of Education, to another agency, the Equal Employment Opportunity? And then a Yale law graduate, highly intelligent, that's very apparent, who knows the law with regard to sexual harassment, who really would be in demand anywhere in the country as a Yale law graduate woman. And I have to tell you, to say some of the things that she said, that just doesn't add up. But the real question is, why would she follow him from one place to another and then call him right up to the time that he married Jen and say, congratulate him on his marriage and wish them well? And then come out at the last minute, 2 or 3 days before the actual vote, in what I call an October surprise, and lay these allegations on him when she herself admits that he never made improper advances towards her. He never touched her, but she claims that he continually asked her for dates, pressed her for dates, and that he talked about sex with her.
All right, Ms. Holton, some of these facts that Senator Hatch is talking about, and also she invited Thomas apparently to speak at the University of Oklahoma earlier this year. I think a lot of this all stems from the timing. Also, this is a 10-year-old charge.
Well, my view is that it wouldn't stem from the timing. I think that the people who don't want a hearing on this wouldn't have wanted a hearing under any circumstances, because the fact of the matter is he shouldn't be asking the questions rhetorically. These are questions that should be posed to her when she's under oath, face-to-face, before the committee members, so that the committee members can determine whether her answers are credible, and so the American public can. I don't see how people can make up their minds without really a thorough investigation. He also said that no untoward advances were made to her, improper advances. The fact of the matter is that sexual harassment, as the Supreme Court and other courts have said, doesn't require touching. It can be the kinds of allegations that she's made. Now, I believe that they're serious enough. We have tens of millions of working women in this country. They're entitled to be free from sexual harassment in the workplace. And I think the charges have to be carefully examined. Only a preliminary inquiry has been made here.
Do you see the Senate's hesitation to delay the vote a political problem here? Do you see it a sexual bias problem?
I think to some extent it involves a lack of understanding of what working women have to go through. It's not so easy for a woman, even a Yale graduate, necessarily to get a job when the job market may be tight, when there may be sexual discrimination against women. It's not so easy. And she was a young woman, and she was concerned about joblessness. But maybe that's not the answer. Maybe she isn't telling the truth. But I don't see how someone can sit there and say, no, this doesn't make sense. As a former prosecutor handling sexual violence cases against women, sometimes stories don't make sense on the surface. But many women don't come forward because they're going to be subject to the same kind of character assassination that she's now being subjected to. Sometimes women don't want to come forward because they want to put it behind them.
Senator, go ahead.
Well, talk about character assassination. Look, she was approached by Senator Kennedy's and Senator Metzenbaum's staff members, one of whom went to school with her. Now, come on, let's get with it. The fact of the matter is that happened 2 or 3 weeks. It happened before the hearings. Everybody had an opportunity to, any of those senators had an opportunity to bring her up insist on appearing before those hearings. They didn't. They knew before the vote was taking place. Nobody raised this issue. Now they're trying to make Senator Biden look bad when he conducted the fairest hearings that I've seen in a long time. Now look, this is just plain not right. Talk about character assassination. Here's a man for the Supreme Court that everybody says is one of the finest men they've ever met. His employees say he's one of the finest men they've ever met, that he's honorable, he does what's right. And here you have this person bringing up a 10-year-old charge who followed him after he allegedly did these things to the EEOC, stayed there for almost 2 years, and then all of a sudden brings this up after meeting with Kennedy and Metzenbaum's staff member. Come on. doesn't take any brains
In
to
a couple
realize
seconds.
he's being assassinated.
Go ahead.
Senator, you have no right to make a final determination. Let her tell her story to the American people under oath, and let Clarence Thomas respond under oath, and then we'll know what happened, and let a thorough investigation of this take place.
Gotta
Well,
jump
you
out here.
you and I both know that the minute that happens, every liberal group in this country is going to come down on Thomas like a ton of bricks.
Senator, what are
and
you
there'll be all
afraid
kinds
of?
of other... I'm not afraid
Senator,
of anything.
what are you afraid of? Are
No,
you
I'm not
afraid of
afraid of
knowing the
anything.
truth? Are you afraid of letting the American people know the facts? Is that what's involved here?
I'm
Elizabeth
sorry, but I got
Holtzman,
to...
I know the truth. I know Clarence
don't know
Thomas
how you
well.
can.
I know him. I've known him for 11 years, and I know
Senator?
who he is, and I know what he is.
Senator, thank you. Elizabeth Holtzman, thank you. I've got to jump out here. Remembering one of baseball's most colorful characters, Leo DeRocher, when Good Morning America continues.
And I think,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think that's the unfortunate part of this, is that no questions were asked of me to follow up on the report. No, nothing was done by the members of the committee to talk to me. And I think that that is part of my concern, that this was not given full consideration.
It's been a difficult 2 days for you. Do you have any regrets?
Well, you know, one always second guesses oneself in these kinds of situations. I think what I regret is that so much attention has been focused on matters that are not important. There are a lot of people who can say that I was naive or that I used poor judgment in these situations, but there is nothing in the record that would indicate that I am dishonest. And to the extent that I use poor judgment in other person's opinion, I regret that. But I did the best I could with the information that I had throughout not only the period that I'm discussing, but also throughout the process with the Senate Judiciary Committee.
Professor Hill, I'm afraid that we are out of time. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
It's 7:19. We'll be back in a moment. This is Today on NBC.
Let me ask you, Bobby, about that line, nice guys finished last. Never certain that he said it, but was he a nice guy?
Leo was a great guy, if he was on your side. But I could see where people that played against him wouldn't think he was that nice. But, well, we all know Leo. Red, aggressive, he brought excitement, he brought life to the park, and he was unique.
You both saw him from different perspectives, you on the field, Red, you looking down on the field. Tell me about him as a player. Babe Ruth once called him the All-American out, right?
I would say that DeRocher was a very dangerous 250 hitter. He wasn't a power hitter, but as a shortstop, he was incomparable. He had the quickest hands, I think, that I ever saw. He just suddenly picked up the ball, and it was gone. I thought that Leo, over the years, for his playing and for his managing, I thought he should have been in the Hall of Fame.
Red, was he driven in the same way as a player that he was as a manager? I always got the sense that this was somebody who would really do anything to win. I mean, there was no coming in second as far as he was concerned.
That's right. Leo wanted to win. And this phrase, nice guys finish last, it happened that I was interviewing him in the Giant dugout one afternoon before a ball game with the Dodgers, and he got into that, and he said that.
He did say it. Well,
Yes, he did.
He was always associated with winners himself, so it was always an interesting comment. Tell me about that 1951 series when he was managing. You were 13 and a half games back, and you came back to tie the Dodgers and go into that famous 3-game playoff. Was he the driving force? Would you have been there in position to hit that home run if DeRocher hadn't been manager?
No, I'm glad we had Leo there. 13 and a half games behind Charlie. Of course, when you played for Leo, you didn't just put your uniform on. You went out there to win the ball game. He had to win. He hated to lose. So we that far behind, we showed up and we played hard. But it wasn't until we got within 6 or 7 games that he seemed to really take over.
How was he motivating you? What was he doing?
Well, you could always hear him. He was the loudest guy out there, and he was always after us, and he ran the show, and he was confident.
In a way that
aggressive.
managers don't run the show today, I gather. I mean, he was a real throwback, the old kind of manager who made the ball players listen.
And he was confident. He didn't worry about footsteps behind him, so to speak. He was big enough to go to other players. He had his type of players like Eddie Stanky and Al Dark, and he let them run the show out there.
Red, the 1947 season, he was suspended from baseball. A lot of people think he was the guy who shepherded Jackie Robinson into the majors, but actually during that year, he was suspended, right, for gambling?
He was suspended by Commissioner Chandler for Chandler's own reasons. He said conduct detrimental to baseball. I have to think that he shouldn't have been suspended. However, he didn't shepherd Jackie Robinson into baseball, but he did stop an insurrection on the Dodgers at Panama in spring training when Dixie Walker and Eddie Stanky were thinking of coming up with a petition and having the Dodgers.
Our rental business is booming.
So Grand Tree is forced to blow out. I'll be back in 30 seconds with details on the dry weather for Portland.
After 9 years on Broadway, Cats is still purring strong.
No telling how many more lives for that cat, huh?
Welcome back to CBS This Morning. I'm Harry Smith.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Paula Zahn. 5 million people have seen Cats just on Broadway, not even counting the road companies and the rest of the tours around the world. In this half hour, we're going to take you to last night's big 9th anniversary show. And from diapers to dog food, why are there so many kinds of the same product crowding your supermarket shelves? Robert Krulwich will explain right after the news and weather.
Also coming up in this half hour, Mark Bunicani, who turned a paralyzing football accident into a crusade to help others with the help of his father, Nick. And later on in this CBS This Morning broadcast, Sarah Ferguson, part 2 of our exclusive conversation with the Duchess they call Fergie. That's coming up in our second hour.
They call her that if they don't want to get in, if they do want to get into trouble. The Duchess of York. Now, though, it's time for the news this morning. In Washington, charges of sexual harassment have rekindled the heated debate over the Supreme Court nomination of Clarence Thomas. Oklahoma law professor Anita Hill says that when she worked...
Goes right to the heart of his ability to take serious account of the rights of individuals. And it also speaks to his use, the way he will use power.
The Senate confirmation vote is set for 6 this evening, Eastern Time. The trouble in Haiti also shows no sign of ending. Troops without leaders now seem to be in control of the country. Juan Vasquez reports.
Haiti was plunged into a new round of violence and uncertainty when soldiers stormed the national parliament while legislators were debating the current crisis. The soldiers exchanged gunfire with other troops providing security for the building and later went inside to demand that the legislators select an interim president. The legislators yielded to the ultimatum and selected a senior member of the Supreme Court to replace overthrown President Jean-Bertrand Aristide. The dissident soldiers say they do not want Aristide to return under any circumstances. Meanwhile, on the other side of town, another group of soldiers interrupted a meeting of delegates from the Organization of American States with Haitian leaders. They came down a hallway, rifles at the ready, demanding to talk to General Raul Cedras, their commander, to insist that under no conditions should President Aristide be allowed to return. Reporters traveling with the OAS delegation were herded into a small room while the soldiers argued. The incident ended without bloodshed, but eyewitnesses said the soldiers abducted a Haitian political leader as they left the airport. Worried about their own security, the members of the OAS delegation cut short the talks to board their airplane and flee from Haiti minutes later. The minister said they would not recognize the selection of an interim president because it was done under duress. Juan Vasquez, CBS News, Port-au-Prince.
United Nations inspectors say Saddam Hussein planned to design and produce a nuclear bomb at a research center 40 miles south of Baghdad. Western intelligence agencies apparently failed to realize the importance of the center, which was only lightly bombed during the Gulf War. Meanwhile, we have the first pictures this morning of UN officials getting rid of Iraq's notorious supergun. The weapon, capable of firing a shell weighing over a half a ton, more than 600 miles, was found 150 miles north of Baghdad. UN inspectors disabled it by cutting its tubes at each end, and they set fire to a ton of gunpowder that would have fired the supergun's shells. Finally this morning, American moviegoers have been hooked, it seems, by The Fisher King. The story of a homeless man's search for the Holy Grail is tops at the box office. That's for the second straight week with a total of $16 million earned at the box office. Number 2 is Ricochet, followed by Deceived, Necessary Roughness, and The Super. That's the news at 26 minutes before the hour. Time to check in with Mike Collins of WBTV from Charlotte, who's here to tell us what's happening outside this morning. He's here to explain what this madness is all about. Good morning.
Good morning, Paula. Maybe you've noticed this when you go to the grocery store. Once upon a time, say 10 years ago, you wanted a beer. Well, Budweiser, for example, had a beer, Bud. But now Bud offers more than just Bud. You can have Bud Light if you're on a diet. You can have Bud Dry if you prefer dry taste. You can have O'Doul's, which is what they call their Bud without alcohol in it. So where there used to be one Bud, there are now 4. And the same thing has happened with colas, all right? First there was Coke, regular Coke. But now you've got Diet Coke and New Coke and caffeine-free New Coke and caffeine-free Diet Coke and caffeine-free regular Coke. And you got over here Cherry Coke and Diet Cherry Coke. So instead of 1 cola, you now have 8 colas to choose from. And now we'll go on to dog food, which is a more recent example. Remember Purina Dog Chow? Along with Purina Plain Dog Chow, Purina has now got Puppy Chow, plus Purina 1 Puppy Formula, plus Purina 1 Adult Dog Formula, plus Purina 1 Light Formula for fat dogs, plus Purina Fit and Trim, which is low on fat and salt and high on fiber, plus Purina's Nature's Course, which is all natural ingredients, no artificial flavors, colors, or preservatives. That is 6, actually we don't have the dog chow, 7 dog chows where there used to be 1. Now how come so many major brands are going from 1 product to 4 or to 6 or to 8? Well, the only way in a slow market that a company can make money is to steal customers away from competitors. And the most effective way to do that is offer the customer something new, maybe something they didn't even know they needed. I'm sure 10 years ago, none of you woke up thinking, you know, what I need today is a Diet Cherry Coke. But once Coca-Cola created one, a lot of people said, you know, this is what I like, what I want, what I need. And now Coke owns the cherry drinkers. And with every new product, Coke locks in another set and another set of customers, niche by niche, stealing other folks' customers, and this is how they grow. But the strategy can get completely out of hand. Let me take you now to the diaper department, where they are about to be hit with what frankly seems to me to be a tidal wave. Procter & Gamble, makers of Pampers, has just introduced 13 new diapers all at the same time. They hope this huge assault is going to knock Huggies down there at the end right off the shelf. But are people ready for this many choices? Let's begin with the first one on their list, Pampers umbilical notch diapers. Umbilical notch, specially cut for the belly button area so the newborn's tender umbilical cord stump is not irritated. Then comes infant diapers. There are 4 kinds. Infant diaper 1, infant diaper 2 for boys, then 1 and 2 for girls. All of them designed, as it says on the pocket thing here, with a pocket in the back to accommodate what Pampers calls the messy leaks of early life. After infants comes crawler diapers for both babies, boys and girls, for the crawling baby. It has extra stretch in the waist, extra stretch in the thighs, so that the legs and the back can move more freely during the crawling period. Then comes Walker diapers. We got Walker 1s, Walker 2s, Walker 3s for boys, and Walker 1s, and Walker 2s, and Walker 3 for girls, all with narrower crotches for the child who's standing, and what the company calls adorable print designs, including Mickey and Minnie on the waistband. Now, all of these designs are going to replace small, medium, and large. So from now on, parents are going to have 13 diapers to choose from instead of 3.
I'm proud to say that we're no longer in diapers in our household. But when we dealt with this, it was small, medium, and large.
Like last week.
Yeah, Walker 1, 2, 3. Are people really going to buy these?
People are not only willing to buy these, they are now insisting on them. When this was test marketed in the Midwest, it was a gigantic success. It took a lot of share away from Huggies, from Kimberly-Clark. So now we're in the bizarre situation where Kimberly-Clark is about to offer the public 10 diapers instead of their original 3. Love's, another Procter & Gamble company, is going to offer 13. So you've got these 13, Kimberly-Clark's 10, the other 13, that adds up to what? I wrote it down here. 36 diapers from just 3 companies, and that's just in order for them to appeal to you at your most specific need. Like, we have the diaper for your baby at this moment that your kid wants. And then come the biodegradables. behind that.
On top of that. So I assume, quickly in closing, that this is cost-effective for these companies to go from 3 products to 13.
As much as it costs to make more, every point of market share they get is worth it.
And who's losing out in this? Generic brands?
The little brands, yeah. Where's RC Cola? Smaller. Where's AW Root Beer? Where's the house brand of the diapers? Way over there in the corner. If it's there at all.
Robert Kolich, nice to see you. Nice crawl there.
Thank you.
Got a lot of experience with your kids on the
Yes,
floor.
I do.
Harry.